Well, happy Tuesday and welcome to VA Careers Live. My name is Mike Owens and I'm a recruitment marketing and human resources specialist for the Veterans Health Administration, as well as your host for our weekly segment, Talk About It Tuesday. If you're joining us for the first time, I just want to let you know that we are here every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. So feel free to grab a snack, grab something to drink, and join us as we talk about careers here at VA. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time or you've been with us for almost the whole 3 years we've been on air, we want you to be part of the conversation. So feel free to leave any questions and comments in the comment section. Our team and I, we like to go through those questions throughout the day and throughout the week to make sure all of your questions are answered and all of your comments are addressed. And we all know someone who wants to work here at VA, so we ask that you please share our broadcast. Again, hit the share button. We have two hashtags that are associated with this broadcast. The first one is hashtag work at VA. Again, hashtag work at VA. And the second hashtag that you can use is a short one. It's VA Careers. So again, click that share button and let's get that information out to as many people as possible. So with that, I'm excited about today. Today we have a special guest that we're going to have join us today. We're going to be talking about IT, information technology careers here at VA. So if you have a degree in IT or if you have any type of work history in IT experience or you're interested in working for the VA in IT, don't go anywhere. Stick around because we have a very special guest. My special guest that we have today, he is the Chief People Officer for VA's Office of Information and Technology. Again, he's the Chief People Officer for the VA's Office of Information and Technology. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys, Mr. Nathan Tierney. How are you, sir?
Living the dream. Thank you very much, Mike, for having me here on the show.
You know what? I like the introduction. I love the living the dream. I use that a lot. So, yeah, it is a dream working here at VA. So anyone out there that wants to know what it's like working at VA, Mr. Tierney said it himself. It's like living a dream. So thank you for joining us, Mr. Tierney. And you ready to get started with our interview today?
Let's do it.
All right. So I see here that you have some experience in both the military and private sector. So what encouraged you to apply for a career here at VA?
Well, first, I was really blessed to go into the military and have some terrific mentors, both when I was brand new as an E1 up until I later became a warrant officer. Awesome. And when I transitioned, it's what's next was the fundamental question when I was leaving the military. And I was a little bit scared about what am I going to do next? I was blessed again by a mentor to help me get into the private sector. But while I was there, I didn't feel that same connectedness that I had in the military to my fellow veterans. So an opportunity popped up at the VA and I took it to come over. And I've really just benefited from it because, I get to give back for all those years that I got while I was in the active duty. So I'm excited to be here. It's a great place to be if you're a veteran. Even if you're not a veteran, it's a great place to be. I read that there are 76 million descendants of veterans out there in this country. So if you take that plus the veteran population, that means almost a third of the U.S. population is a veteran or somehow connected directly to a veteran, right? So when you think about the mission of the VA, we touch everything from finance, education, to healthcare, to IT. It's just an exciting place to be, and it represents all of America in its diversity. So again, I can't say enough about the VA. I think it's the best place in federal government to work, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm sure you are too.
Awesome. Even after that answer, I already work for the VA and I'm ready to re-sign up again.
There you go.
And I noticed that you mentioned that you were a warrant officer. So we have a lot of military veterans that watch this broadcast. And so one of the rumors about warrant officers that if you see one, it's like seeing a unicorn. So everyone, you're looking at a unicorn right now.
Well, I've got the classic coffee cup too as a warrant officer. Right? So,
the classic
technical and tactical expert, I can tell you how to make a good pot of coffee too. So.
The classic offensive warrant officer mug. I love it. I love it. Which branch did you serve in, if you don't mind?
I served in the Navy actually as a rescue swimmer, and then I jumped ship over to the Army to become a pilot and actually fly him. So my mom's happy because now I'm not jumping out of them anymore. I started flying them.
Right. Awesome.
Good career. But
so my next question is, what background or experience, whichever one you want to go by, from those arenas, the military and the private sector, do you feel helped you succeed at the VA?
I think it's a passion, right? I think if you unite people with passion around a purpose, right, that's greater than yourself, you can be successful. So I think that was it, is the passion I have for the mission, whether it was when I was on active duty serving our country or now serving veterans and thereby serving our country as a whole. So I think that really, really helped me. Again, the other thing that helped me was, in the military, not only do you have NCOs that help pick you up by the bootstraps, or young officers pick you up by the bootstraps and show you what right looks like, but there's opportunity there to learn, right? And so over my career, I was able to put like tools in the proverbial toolkit, and I learned, like, my experience again as a warrant, I'm supposed to be a subject matter expert, technical and tactical expert to advise the commanders, right, and execute my job.
Right.
And I developed this thing called the 4 Ps, what I call policy, process, performance, and people. And so I know it sounds simple or weird, but when I go into an organization, I look for where's the policy, right? Where's the SOP or the standard, so I know what that right looks like. Then I look for the process, right? Do we have a process in place to accomplish that said standard or not? And then I look at the performance, right? Do we actually measure that process to make sure it's efficient, right? And it's not about punishment or anything like that. It's about continuously improving. We can always up our game. And then lastly, it's the people. Are the people trained in the process? Do they understand the purpose, the why that they're doing and what they're working towards? And you move on, right? And that just helps focus on what matters, because at the end of the day, it's about serving veterans, their families, and their caregivers. And so how do you most efficiently do that? I use the 4 Ps to kind of get us moving in the right direction, right? Or at least identify where we need to improve, right? Progress, not perfection.
Awesome. So I know a lot of times when people think about working for the VA, or specifically the Veterans Health Administration, or, they think about doctors and nurses, or those who provide direct patient care. And, sometimes we don't, or they don't think about the support roles that help support the occupations. So, for those who may not be familiar with the IT careers with VA, what kind of careers are available for any type of IT, professionals here at VA?
Well, right now, I mean, look at us. We're on this, what is it called? Social Live. It's not Zoom, it's not Microsoft Teams, right? So, you think about your mobile phone, anything, right? Technology is all around us, right? It influences and touches every component of our life. So in IT and OINT, right, we are a support enabler for whether you're a medical doctor or a claims handler helping with veteran benefits, or in a call center or on the crisis line, right? Technology is there. So pick your flavor, right? Do you want to be a software engineer? Come join OINT. We're hiring, right? You want to be a cloud architect? Come join OINT. We're hiring, right? You want to do UI, UX, so you make these clever little designs and stuff and make it intuitive for veterans to get their care? Boom, we're hiring, right? If you also want to look at things like from an HR or financial basis that supports IT investments or strategic sourcing, we have those opportunities as well. So again, IT is this very diverse sphere beyond just, hey, here's your laptop, right? So we need to just think differently. And in my opinion, we want to race ahead of technology, not behind it. And that starts with people, right? Hiring the best qualified people, bringing them on board, developing them, and giving them opportunities to succeed.
Awesome. So for those out there that are watching this broadcast and they want to know what do hiring managers, or what do people that, hiring managers at VA, what do they look for in candidates? So what advice would you offer someone looking to work here at VA?
Yeah, well, for one, figure out kind of what you want to do, right? Do some research. There's plenty of sites out there. There's an IT career builder. We're about to launch a new one, more tailored specifically to VA's IT system. But figure out kind of what you want to do. Yep. And then when you submit your resume, right, make sure that you're articulating the skills, your knowledge, skills, and abilities you have for that position. Because, we are trying to hire the best qualified candidates across government, right? I mean, we are going to become the world-class leader in IT for all of government with our CIO's vision. I know that, right? I mean, we're just driving towards that. So, take the time to make sure that you're articulating those knowledge, skills, and abilities in your resume. Be explicit with the results that you have. There's for executives, they teach challenge, context, action, result, right? Make it measurable, and that way you can kind of stand to the top, right? If you're uncomfortable with interviewing, get comfortable, right? I mean, I'm in Austin, so get weird, right? Like that's the saying here. Okay, let's keep Austin weird. You got to get weird, right? You got to push your comfort zone. If you're not good at hiring or in interviewing, get good at it, right? And you can do that with a friend or whatnot. My wife, when she's going to grad school, is an introvert. She's extremely fearful of having to do this master presentation thing. And we worked together on it, and she would practice in front of me just reciting it. So she would rehearse how to answer and address that presentation. And field questions. So it takes a little bit of practice, but anybody can do it if you exert some effort. So that's what I encourage you to do. First, figure out what you want to do. Secondly, polish up the resume. 3, make sure that you can interview well so you can articulate what you bring to the table to support veterans and their caregivers within that domain of IT.
Awesome. That's some great advice, and we thank you for that. And I'm sure that our audience that's watching appreciates all of that advice that you're giving. So what would you say? And one of my favorite questions is, what would you say is your favorite thing about working at VA?
I think it's the people. It took me a bit to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. I still don't know if I've always figured it out. But this opportunity, I've been now an executive in just over a year. And it's the people side, right? Coming to the role, and we mapped out the entire employee journey. So we know what that employee experience looks like and be able to take action on those pain points, right? As well as celebrate the bright spots, has been extremely rewarding, right? Because you can rack and stack and make that work-life balance better for people by addressing those concerns. So I've personally enjoyed that. I've enjoyed being able to establish like a mentoring and coaching program within OINT so that we can give back like those mentors that gave to me while I was in the service and transitioning and continue to influence my life. So I'm excited about the people part. You can't have a business, right, without people and money.
Yeah.
Right. And I would offer to you that the most important thing, the strategic advantage, is your people. They're not human resources, right? That makes you feel like a robot, doesn't it? They're not human capital where it makes you think of like money. They're people. They've got their own hopes, dreams, families, and things that affect them. And I think if anything, COVID and the pandemic taught us is we have to think differently about how we treat people.
Exactly.
Right? And so that's the part that excites me. The other part that excites me, I would say, is the veteran side of the house, right? That impact in an OINT, sometimes we forget that like what we're contributing to is the veteran outcome, right? Mm-hmm. And their families. But seeing the progress, right? Seeing that more veterans are now starting to get their benefits, whether it be online, by streamlining and making enhancements to va.gov, or I think of during the pandemic and putting out that useful information, with kind of like the chat bots and everything to help people sleep comfortable beds at night, I think was very, very helpful. So yeah, that's what I've enjoyed.
Awesome. So I got one question I like to put my guests that served in the military on the spot. So what would you say, what was your favorite duty station?
Well, the right answer would be to say when I was stationed at Fort Campbell, because I met my wife and now days before we deployed. So
okay,
that'd be the right answer, right? But the other answer I would say is I think Europe was great, but every duty assignment helped me grow.
Yeah,
by the people I met, by the people I got to serve with, and the lessons learned along the way. So, I look back at my career, I don't know about you, and I actually only see a lot of bright spots.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't necessarily have the favorite. It just
and I agree. I know you did dual branches, and I did too. I started off in the Army. I did 12 years in the Army before I eventually switched over and did my last 8.5 years in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I agree. Every duty station had its uniqueness, and you learned something and got something from each duty station. So one more question, I'll let you go. Eagles or Chiefs?
Okay. So you want to get weird? Well,
Hey,
I was so deployed, right, while I was in the service that I have not watched a Super Bowl in 20 years,
oh wow.
20 plus years. I grew up watching Monday Night Football with my dad, my parents, 49er fan and all that kind of good stuff. And then I went off to the military, and then life changed, right? So I actually am probably really non-understanding of football or sports. I've never watched an Army Navy game, so yeah,
Oh,
probably the wrong guy to ask.
you might get some hate mail in the comment section.
I might, but I love hanging out with my kids and stuff and playing outside ball with them,
Yeah, understood.
whether it's basketball or baseball. Now they're in this phase of jujitsu, which is cool. I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, so
Okay.
I got started late in life, so I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah. Hey, you're a lucky man, and thank you for your service, and thank you for joining us today. I understand you're a busy man, and we appreciate the hour that you spent with us today. So thank you for that.
No, this is awesome. If you got questions, let me know.
All right. So with that, audience, again, if you have any questions about IT careers, or if you have any questions specifically for Mr. Tierney, leave those in the comment section, and we'll go through and make sure we forward those questions over to his office. So with that, we thank you for watching. If you caught the interview towards the middle or the end, you can always go back to our LinkedIn page and catch it in its entirety. There's a lot of information, so don't miss it. So with that, thank you for watching, and we will see you on next Tuesday. Have a great day.